Hey guys, Mike here. So just wanted to start by saying thank you so much for the love and support and the comments on yesterday's video. It was very unexpected, and I stayed up as late as I possibly could last night trying to respond to all you guys. And so I appreciate every one of you, and it means a lot. Trust me on that. My wife had fun reading them too, and so I'm kind of glad she encouraged me to put that video out yesterday because I wasn't going to do it, but I appreciate her as well for encouraging me to do that. And sometimes I like to celebrate small victories, and this is kind of one of those videos where I'm a shareholder. If you're watching this, I'm sure you're a shareholder of multiple companies. Some of you guys actually do take the time to vote like I do, and you get a chance on certain things for these companies. And I think finally you're starting to see a shift. Hopefully, could be a glitch, but hopefully it's a shift in sentiment where now the majority of shareholders are just fed up and pissed off about the crazy amount of pay these CEOs and executives are getting at the top there, right? And so now you're starting to see a shift in how people are voting. And I'm going to show you a little secret. You may not know this, but I'll show you exactly how these guys avoid paying a large percentage of taxes in America. And you may not know this, but it kind of is a secret. They really don't talk about it much. But I'll show you the secret and how they pull it off. And then you may be thinking, was this an American problem or a global problem, right? And I think the answer is going to surprise you maybe. I know it somewhat surprised me, especially how skewed the numbers are. And so, understand, keep in mind this right here. They're asking for these huge compensation packages. In 2022, as you've heard on the calls here, these are the margins. The margins are going to get squeezed on every company, okay? And you can see to the right, 2022, to the left, 2021, quarter two right there. And you can see the only thing the margins are bigger on this year are going to be energy, utilities, and maybe one other as I can see in here. But the rest of them, the margins are going to be lower, the bottom line is going to be lower, the growth rates, they've actually decreased them for this year. And so it's amazing how you want to sit here and increase your pay as the stock is going down, so the shareholders are getting less, right? And you can see this here, it started with AT&T, and they voted against a huge compensation package for their CEO. Then you come out about a week later, Philips voted against a huge compensation for their CEO, and then Intel said the hell with the $180 million pay package for their CEO. And mind you, all these stocks have performed terribly. And I forgot to mention another package that got voted down by the shareholders was Jamie Dimon's one-time payout of $50 million as a retention bonus, so he'll stay on. And again, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you get something out of this, guys. And understand, if you look at this, CEO pay in 2021 rose 19%. That is hard to believe because employees didn't get anywhere near that kind of raise going in 2021. What's even more egregious is when you look at the highest paid CEOs, you got Discovery's CEO making $247 million. That's in 1 year, by the way, guys. All right, that's salary and all the perks, 1 year. Then you got Amazon's below them at $213 million, and what makes it so egregious is when you compare it to their regular employees. Discovery CEO makes 3,000 times the median salary of their employees, which is $82,000. And then what's even worse than that is Amazon, for crying out loud. This CEO makes 6,500 times what is just terrible to me. An average salary of $33,000 for these Amazon workers, one of the richest companies in the world. And so now, if you didn't know, maybe you have a good idea of how large these compensation packages are, and they keep the salary small. Like for automakers, it's usually like $2 to $5 million in base salary, which is a lot to us. It's pennies to them, but the real compensation comes in stock options, bonuses, that kind of stuff. And understand how do they leverage, how do they avoid paying large percentage of taxes. Like this is what the rich do. They actually have a term for this, and the term they use is buy, borrow, and die strategy, okay, to avoid capital gains. This is what they do. And what they do is they'll take stock in these packages, and they'll actually take out loans on them. And as you can see, Morgan Stanley's wealth management clients have $68.1 billion worth of security-based and other non-mortgage loans outstanding, more than double 5 years earlier. Said it has $62.4 billion in securities-based loans, dwarfing its book of home equity lines of credit. And here's the list right here, and you can see who's on top. And this is basically the Forbes 400 pledgers, right? They call it the pledging. And so 32 billionaires identified in the Forbes 400 list of the richest Americans have pledged public stock of companies listed on the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ exchanges in order to get loans. And you can see Elon Musk is number 1 on the list. Percentage of shares pledged to shares owned, 36%. Value of pledged shares, 112 billion. And you just go down the list. I mean, it's just a ton of money that these guys are taking, these low interest loans out on, because obviously capital gains taxes would be a whole lot more. And so it's lucrative for the banks, it's lucrative for these guys, and that's one of the secrets, and that's how they do it. So that's why you'll see some CEOs like Elon Musk say, well, I don't want a salary. Don't give me a salary, right? Because if you take salary, what do you got to do? You got to pay FICA taxes, Social Security, Medicare up to a certain amount. You're paying other taxes out of that, and so why would you want to do that, right? So just he takes everything in some kind of stock-based compensation packages, maybe some bonuses here or there, which he'll pay taxes on. But this is the secret to, that's why Warren Buffett don't take a salary either, right? So if he needs funds, he can just take these low mortgage loans out and don't even have to sell the stock, okay? And this can keep being rinsed and repeat over and over and over to avoid paying any kind of taxes. And so it's pretty, smart of them to do it. And the good thing is I found out a lot of companies have started making it where executives cannot do this, okay, which I'm glad to see is another shift we're seeing, to where a very large percentage I found out are starting to make it to where they cannot do this anymore, okay? And so that's good to see. But, the other question is, like, is this an American thing? Is this a worldwide thing? I mean, do CEOs all over the world, make this kind of money and these kind of compensation packages? And the answer is no, it's an American problem. As you can see right here, there's nobody even close to what the United States does. This is an annual CEO compensation package worldwide. This is back in 2017, so I'm sure it's higher, but it's the latest data I can find. And you can see, we can double or triple what other countries actually offer the CEOs. And what's even worse is the ratio between CEO and average worker pay. This is back in 2018. It's actually gotten worse. But as you can see, the United States and India top the list. United Kingdom, there's only 3 countries over 200, and the rest of them go down. But still, it's a problem worldwide. But just unfortunately, 2 or 3 countries at the top there have it the worst. And what's even worse, though, I found out, this is the last thing, is what these companies will do to make sure these CEOs and executives get their bonuses. In 2020, when millions of people were laid off, millions, right? These companies will skew the numbers, like, for Discovery, they lower the targets from the previous year so they can get their bonus. Wells Fargo just ignored the numbers. Norwegian Cruise Lines, which lost $4 billion in 2020 that year, stripped out pandemic costs to make sure the CEO got his bonus. HCA Healthcare ignored results from earlier pandemic. And so the bigger question is, like, does your company do that for you with your bonuses, with your pay raises? They bend the numbers and forget about stuff just to hand them out to you? I'd seriously doubt it. And what's even crazier now is the fact that used to you have to be the founder of a company to become a billionaire. Now you just be a regular Joe Smo that came up in the company, or even just got hired off the streets to be the CEO. And with these packages now, you can become a billionaire in like 5 years. That's just the way it is. And also what's kind of sad is the fact that those votes from all these shareholders, those aren't binding. Like, the board can actually override, from what I read, what the shareholders vote. And they can go ahead and just give them these packages anyway. Which makes no sense to me. But, again, hopefully the majority of people have just had enough and said, look, man, make your money, but for crying out loud, what if we just cut all the executives' compensation package by like 10%? Instead of you making $200 million, you're making, let's say, $180 million. I know it's a struggle. What could we do with the extra compensation? Could we put it in R&D, help the company grow? Could we, pass it down in bonuses and stuff like that to the actual employees who do work to actually produce revenue and generate revenue and sales and all that stuff? Could you do that? I mean, we're so worried about hanging on to these like 5 or 6 executives at the top, especially the one. And then there's all these millions of employees at the bottom actually doing it, making your company what it is, who you just don't care. They just get rid of them. They're a number, And so, I don't know. That's just my thoughts. I know it's a pipe dream for anything to happen, but hopefully shareholders will continue, to educate themselves, to see stuff like this, and say, oh yeah, well, let's do it. Let's see what happens. And so I'm going to watch and see, do the boards overrule the shareholders, or do they stick with their vote? So I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, and which side you fall on, okay? So again, let's just celebrate the small victories while we can as shareholders, and see where it goes from here. So Have a good one. I'll see you guys later.